Thank you for joining us for the August webinar. My name is Debbie Stark. I am one of the programmers here in the Continuing Ed Department at Kirkwood, and I am actually so thrilled to have Steve Wilson here, and he is going to be joining us and doing his presentation, Fix the Relationship, Fix the Result. Steve is an accomplished coach. I've known Steve for a very long time. He's an amazing facilitator. He has so much knowledge. He does leadership development, consulting. He's been doing that for over 20 years. He has been working with Fortune 500 companies, including Union Pacific and ICANN. And he is also a certified working genius facilitator, which is a really cool personality assessment. And it's a really cool tool to use. He specializes in delivering high-impact workshops, executive coaching, corporate training engagements that empowers leaders and it strengthens team performance. And he is also a black belt instructor, and he is going to be giving us a preview of one of the classes that we have coming up in our series this fall, and he's giving you a taste. So I will be dropping some links in to get you to look at what we have coming up. But enough about all of that. Steve, I am so happy that you're here, and I will turn it over to you, and I'll fix the chat, I promise.
All right. Yes, enable that chat. Well, hey, yeah, it's really good to have everyone on with us today. I'm just based out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, or Robbins, just so probably not too far from many of you. And I'm representing today, so I'm also with Iowa State University and the Center for Industrial Research and Service, and so known as Service. So I'm happy to partner with Kirkwood on this webinar, and then also so even beginning on Tuesday, we have a series on TWI, Training Within Industry, which kicks off Tuesday, I believe it is. Yes, Tuesday the 25th, which is Job Relations, and this is a little bit of a taste of that. And so Fix the Relationship, Fix the Results is our heading for today. And I will be, and I know Debbie will be monitoring as well in the chat. And hopefully we can participate in that, because I'll be looking for feedback and questions and thoughts from all of you. So the big idea that we're talking about here today, and I understand too, this is a webinar, so we don't have screens and breakout sessions and all of those things, but I anticipate that you're going to get some things out of this already in this hour. So think of the best. What I'd like to do, again, think of the best leader that you've ever worked for. What made you trust them? If you would, just go ahead. Let's try it out. Let's try it out with some of the chat. Throw some things in there and see if we can't get that chat working. But think of the best leader that you've ever worked for. What made you trust them? And if you would just begin to populate the chat, we'll continue to move on. So,
sorry, Steve, it may not be working, but I promise I will get you there.
Okay, but that's the big idea. That's the big idea that we're looking at today, are some of those things there. What you're going to take away from today is some small actions that will build that trust, because without trust, there's nothing else. How trust drives communication, how communication supports safety, and then how safety and trust drive performance. So again, the key here is relationships. Relationships are built or broken in very small daily moments, just like I talk about with continuous improvement and Lean Six Sigma, Green Belt, Black Belt. The gains that most organizations make are not on those big projects. They're the daily utilization of the tools, and that's what we're looking at here. Daily utilization of tools that will help you build better relationships. I like to simply say better relationships equal better results. The better relationships that you can have with your colleagues, those that you report to, those that report to you, family. This is great outside of business as well. Better relationship that you can have with these people, the better the results that you're looking for. So, why relationships drive those results? We just look at it from this perspective here. TWI. I'll start with a little bit of history on TWI. TWI started, again, it's training within industry. Was developed during World War II to rapidly turn new supervisors into capable leaders. and it's still used today because the fundamentals of human relationships haven't changed, right? So one of the things that were going on World War II, individuals leaving the workforce to go off to war. So I had a lot of people coming in that had never been uh, in the workforce before, and in this case, it happened to be manufacturing, had never been in manufacturing before. So again, had to rapidly turn new supervisors into very capable leaders, and TWI is what came out of that. The core belief of training within industry, and not just training with industry job relations, but all of them. And the modules are job relations, job instruction, which is all about training, how we train people, and then job methods, how we improve processes. And they're excellent for any industry, much like Lean, Six Sigma, those things began in manufacturing. TWI began in manufacturing, but anywhere that you have people and processes, this is a valid discipline. So whether it's an office, healthcare, wherever it might be, but the key component there, people must be treated as individuals. And again, it's these small incremental changes, it's these small intentional habits that are the mechanism that help move things from that left, developing trust, communication. I don't know if you're familiar with Lencioni's five dysfunctions of a team, but similar to this model, begins with trust. Without trust, we can't move to that next level. And in this case, we're not going to have good communication. Without good communication, we don't have high safety, and also then, of course, we can't have the best performance that we want if safety is at play as well. So that's what we're going to be focusing on is job relations, and we're going to be focusing on the what we call the good foundations, or four foundations for good relations. There's four of them, and TWI Job Relations is broken down into two segments. There's the front piece, which is the things that we can do proactively, and then there's the backside. So the front piece is what are the things that we can do on a daily basis to improve the relationships that we have with the individuals, again, that we report to, those that report to us, our colleagues. What are those things that we can do on a daily basis, on a consistent basis? And what they are is these four that you see right here. For those that are just being able to listen, the very first one, let people know how they're doing, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into each of these, but let people know how they're doing. So set expectations and let people know how they're doing. Give credit when due. Let people know in advance of changes that will affect them. And then the fourth one is make best use of people's abilities. So this is not, again, not a new program, not a new initiative, but things a leader can start doing today. Again, today, tomorrow, these are things that you can do on a consistent basis. And these are things that you should, as a leader, as an employee, should be doing on a consistent basis. And these are the things that I want to encourage you to do because they help reduce the number of people problems. And that's what job relations focuses on, people problems. So you might have an employee that consistently comes in late, or you have an employee that's consistently disruptive. It's not that they come in late one time and we have this process, but it's just consistent behavioral issues that we need to address. And the philosophy, the thought is that if we can do these things, more of these things up front, then we don't have to have those harder conversations on the backside as frequently as we would if we didn't do these things. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on each one of these. And the very first one is very first foundation is let people know how they're doing. So set expectations and let people know how they are doing. I'm sure you've all experienced some frustration by not getting feedback. Number one, not having expectations set for you. expectations not set for you, and then uh, even if those expectations are set for you, not getting feedback on how well you were doing. And I'm not talking about just at the annual review where you learn how you did against some metrics. But again, nobody should ever be surprised by a performance review conversation. Never should be surprised because these are things that should have been spoken about, talked about throughout the year. So what happens in this case here, why we think that it's important for expectations to be set and people advised as to how they are doing is because if I don't know what my expectations are, I'm going to struggle hitting objectives. I'm going to struggle. I'm going to become a little anxious, as it says, a little bit of disengagement, which erodes at trust. And then when people don't know where they stand, uh, we're going to assume the worst as well, right? So if I don't know how well I'm doing performing against a particular metric, it's going to erode at that trust because at some point in time, I'm sure somebody, I'll find out what that expectation was, and I'll either be pleased or disappointed because I didn't know what it was in advance. So letting people know how they're doing, setting those expectations. So hopefully everybody is doing that, setting expectations, communicating those, and once you've communicated, continue to communicate. Set those expectations and let people know how they are doing on a consistent, regular basis. So one of the things that I'd like you to do this week, pick one team member and give a specific 2-minute check-in this week. One thing's going well, one thing to adjust. And here's an approach when you're talking to somebody that maybe performance is not where you'd like it to be. Some of you may have some boards around your facility or up on your wall, things that indicate performance levels. And rather than saying, why didn't we hit our goal today? Say, what got in the way of us hitting our objective today? Because what that does is it puts you on the same side with that individual trying to resolve a problem. So again, I encourage you to try that. I encourage you as well. Identify one team member this week and give some specific feedback. What I'd like to ask you, and you can put this in the chat, how often do you tell your team how they're doing? How often do you let them know how they're doing against the expectations? Daily when needed, have monthly one-on-ones. I love that they're one-on-ones. Yes, love it. I love the fact that you're having, one-on-ones. And the purpose of a one-on-one is, and I don't know, leader standard work, if you're familiar with that and that, but the purpose for one-on-ones is for you to identify what are the things that are getting in your way, right? Because where we find value or where we have value as leaders is removing obstacles from in front of those that are actually doing the hands-on work. So that's really where we find our value is removing those obstacles. So that's really what your one-on-ones should be. That should be a large component of it, is helping them understand, again, what's expected, but also you identifying ways that you can help them complete the work that they are trying to complete. I appreciate a lot of those responses. Yeah, do a lot in the moment. So that just, hey, here it is. There's that feedback. And then continue on with that. But I want to challenge you again. Identify somebody and just select that and just to give some of that feedback. So that's the very first one, setting expectations and letting people know how they're doing. That goes a long way in building that relationship and building trust between individuals. The second one here is give credit when due or give credit when earned. Here, I really want to stress specificity and timeliness. That's recognition that's actually tied to an actual behavior or result, delivered close to when it happened. So again, if somebody, somebody does something and I don't remember it, then a couple of weeks later I say, hey, I didn't get a chance to say anything, but a couple of weeks ago, you did this thing, and it was I can't exactly remember what it was, but all these different things, it just loses its efficacy, it loses its power. So we want to make sure that we are giving credit when due and when it's earned. So I'm also not talking about, hey, thanks for coming in today, and then tomorrow, thanks for coming in today, thanks for coming in today. We're talking about going over and above. Things that individuals are going over and above. So give the action, name the specific. Another process that I like to use, or maybe not process, but let me put it out here in the chat, and maybe you're familiar with this, but it's and this is a great way of giving feedback, whether it's constructive or just some some positive feedback. I'm putting it in the chat here. Situation, behavior, impact. It's a great way to give feedback. Hey, in this situation, when you did this, this was the impact that it had on the team. So that's a great way also of giving feedback, because it's very specific and it talks about behaviors, and then again, identifying that impact. But giving credit when it's earned. What I'd like you to do again this week is trying something. And to that note, Dory, I appreciate you sharing that, to give praise in front of the team when great things happen. Is that as a team or individuals do great things? Both, yeah. And the one thing that you have to be careful with is this goes back to knowing your people. Give credit when due. Some individuals like to receive credit in front of everybody or in front of people. Others not so much. So it excuse me. I have found that it can backfire on individuals that don't particularly like that public recognition. And so it's identifying and knowing who your people are and how they like to. Yes, I love that. How they like to be recognized. Asking them. There's a little bit of a survey you can do. How do you like to be recognized? What are the things that create for you a motivating environment? And then honoring that with your people. So try this week. Name one specific thing someone did well and tell them exactly why it mattered. If this is not something that you're naturally inclined to do, and some individuals have the perspective, personally, they feel like, hey, you know what? I don't need to be thanked, so I don't necessarily need to thank others. We can have that perspective. Again, this is why it's important to know your people. And just because you don't necessarily think that that's necessary, that's not the case with everyone. Most individuals like to be recognized. It's just a matter of how they are recognized. And so again, just try to do that. If that's not something that you customarily do, there's some simple tricks of the trade. Reminders, put 3 pennies, if you can find a penny anymore these days, put 3 pennies in your right pocket and identify and say, hey, you know what, today I want to give credit to somebody. I want to spot something that somebody is doing and give some credit to them. And then as you do that throughout the day, just move 1 penny over into the left-hand pocket and work to have 3 by the end of the day. So that is the second one again, which is give credit when earned. And these are, again, remember, these are designed to strengthen the relationship on a consistent basis Because what job relations is all about is handling handling people problems. And so what we want to do, and I'll talk a little bit about what the backside of it is, but up front, you want to work to resolve these or do these things to reduce the frequency or maybe the veracity of some of the people problems that we may experience throughout our throughout our day. The third one, did I skip? Yeah, there we go. The third one. This I think is a real this is a big one. Foundation 3, let people know in advance of changes that will affect them. Schedule changes. Yes, if you have some questions, please put them into the in there, and I'll do my best to answer them. Because that's really our only way of communicating here on the webinar, just simply because of the sheer number and nature of it. But schedule changes, new processes, role changes, just anything that impacts somebody's day-to-day work. I'm sure we've all been on the backside of schedule changes. Hey, just want to let you know this weekend we're going to have to work. And now sometimes those things come up. But what I'm talking about here is, and they can't be avoided, and that's going to happen. But when you find out, geez, you knew a week ago that we were going to be working this weekend, or you knew I was off, those types of things. Because what happens is, as it says, surprise breeds resistance and erodes trust fast. If you're always surprising me with new things, not giving advance notice, that erodes that trust. And it demonstrates to me that you don't really respect me and the work that I'm doing and my time. So let people know in advance of changes that will affect them. What have been some, if you can, again, you can put this in the chat, maybe just very quickly, something that you weren't notified of that affected you, right? That you were notified last minute. What are some maybe of those occasions, those instances where that has happened? So yeah, feel free to put those in the chat as well as we're talking here, because I'm sure there are real life examples of that. So, think about changes then too that you're going to be making. Maybe we're going to have an increase in production. We're picking up a new client. We're having a systems change, some type of structural change. We want to communicate those things up front and frequently. Yeah, there we go. An extra day of OT, last minute. Yeah, weekend coverage needed, just days before it was needed. Absolutely. Those things happen. And what do? They erode at trust. They erode the trust. And as a result of that, you're gonna struggle over time. You're gonna struggle that individual. Yeah, meetings that come out of nowhere. But the thing is there, Sue, somebody knew about it, right? Somebody knew about that meeting. And I understand sometimes things like this happen where, hey, it's a last minute change, a last minute this. But what we don't want to have is that consistently happening, and that being the norm or the rule rather than the exception. So with this, I would like you to think very much about what are some things that I can do? What are some things that I have coming up that it would be wise for me to communicate and be proactive about? And so, again, before that next change comes out, if somebody has something that's coming up, just sending out a short heads up. Hey, this is what's changing. This is why it's changing. Sometimes the challenge, though, is you might not know the why changes are being made. And so therefore, it's hard for you to communicate. And sometimes with that, what you can simply do is communicate, understand, here's some changes. I myself don't fully know all of the changes that are going to be taking place and the impact, but I'm going to do my best to update you as frequently, as often as I can, and as thorough as I can. And the more transparency that you have with that, with them, and changes that again will impact them, the farther you're going to go to strengthening the relationship with your people. And again, the mantra I guess I would add is you know better relationships equal better results. Again, it's not this stuff isn't it's not new, it's not so profound, but it's just stuff that we don't do on a regular daily basis. And then we wonder why sometimes we have all of these people issues that are um, hard to resolve. So again, just be thinking about changes that you have coming up that may impact someone else, and just begin to proactively address that. The fourth and final one: make best use of people's abilities. Making best use of people's abilities. This is about matching people to work that uses their strengths and actively developing abilities that haven't been tapped yet. I think so many times there are individuals, and because we don't know them, we don't have conversations with them, we don't, just kind of quote unquote break bread with them. We might not know of these talents, these skills that they have without um, we're not aware of those things. And so what they're doing some things that they may not necessarily enjoy doing. And all of a sudden we might realize, and I've seen this with some maintenance groups. One particular individual, got to know him and really found out that he was very mechanical, enjoyed working with cars, different things. Opportunities opened up to be in the maintenance shop, and he's outshining, just outperforming many others. But somebody took the time to know this individual, to identify some of their desires, what they like to do. Again, making best use of people's abilities. But in order to do that, you have to know your people. You have to know your people. You have to have conversations with them. You have to be listening to identify what are the things that they really enjoy doing. And they might have, and these might just simply be hobbies. These might be just things that they like to do outside of work. But it can open up and open up a great deal of opportunity for them. And again, extend their ability to impact um, the organization as well. How many of you, and you can just put a yes if this has happened to you, but how many of you have been given another opportunity because somebody recognized or acknowledged an ability that you had, and as a result of that, you got additional opportunities within your organization or in another organization? Yeah, yeah. Not going all Dr. Phil on you here, and that's great to see so many yeses. Um, how did that impact you when you knew that somebody took the time to identify those opportunities or those additional abilities? Yeah, yeah, that you were seeing, somebody is recognizing, and my guess is too that individual. Yeah, I love that. I found my true calling and career. Um, oh yeah, Roberta, yeah, wants me to what make me wanted to do more for the organization. Geez, yeah, I'm just not over here in a hole in the wall, but they're actually seeing my abilities and things of that nature. Now, here's the thing, though. What we have to do is when we see those, and this has happened to me, that's why I can speak to it as well, is that leaders have stood in the way. Leaders have stood in the way when they see somebody's abilities because, like, well, geez, I don't want to lose this person. That's extremely unfortunate and a very selfish, narrow view uh, that this individual can be taking. I understand some, hey, temporarily, but yeah, let's put you on a plan. Let's put you on a plan to develop. Hopefully, all of you have individual development plans. It has surprised me as I work with organizations around the state and beyond how many individuals do not have an individual development plan that they work on consistently with their leader. And so, if that's you, I encourage you, ask your leader, hey, I'd love to, with you, develop an individual development plan. And what is my career path? And have those conversations if your leader is not initiating those with you. But again, don't get in the way, right? Don't get in the way of somebody that has additional abilities. It's make best use of people's abilities. So, again, your task for the week, for the month, for however, what's something you're good at that we don't use enough of? Now, there's the challenge, that last part, then act on the answer, right? You have to be willing and able to take some of that, but have those conversations with the individuals that are reporting to you, particularly those that are reporting to you. We also talk about this in terms of, as I segue a little bit into talking about some more of the job relations. As I mentioned, these are the foundational things that we encourage you to do on a daily basis. Do these things proactively to improve the relationship, thereby resulting in fewer people issues that we have to uh, deal with. And in our workshops, we talk about good supervision and good supervisors. And supervisors, we talk about in terms of supervisors are those that either have direct reports or direct the work of others. So you may fall into one of those two categories. You either have direct reports or you direct the work of others. And as such, you need to have good relationships with your people. And so, good supervision, the definition that we use for good supervision is getting your people to do what you want them to do, when you want them to do it, the way that you want them to do it, but not because you told them to do it, but because they want to do it. That's our objective when we're looking at being a good supervisor. That's the objective that we have. Um, yep, I love that. Supporting them. Yep. I look at it as well in terms of um, being a steward. I heard somebody on a call that I was on earlier today. They were talking about their employees and they used the phrase control. And I thought, okay, I'm not a big fan of that. Um, but just the way that it was said as well, there's X number of people in my control. And I like to look at it from the perspective of I'm a, I'm a steward. Um, I've been given the responsibility for these individuals, and I'm a steward. And what am I doing with them? How am I developing them? How am I supporting them? How am I encouraging them? That's my role. And what am I doing? I like to when I'm working with an organization and they're talking about promotion and promotion being a metric. How many individuals that you are supporting that report to you, how many are being promoted? because you've taken time to further develop them. You've taken time to identify their abilities. You've taken time to do all these things proactively to help in their development. But I love that. I concur with you, Roberta. Yeah, supporting. Um, again, you're being a steward. How well are you stewarding them? So, want to throw an example up here. Um, a plant rolls out new scheduling software overnight. Employees find out when they clock in Monday morning and see their shifts have changed. Complaints spike, and by Wednesday, two people have called in sick. Which of the four foundations was violated here? So you can just put the number one, two, three, or four. Yeah. Let people know in advance of the changes, right? Um, again, it's pretty straightforward, but again, we don't do these on a consistent basis. If we don't do them, and I'm assuming that those of you that are on the call are more dialed into this, but why might we not do? Um, let's uh, let's say let people know how they're doing. Set expectations and let people know how they're doing. Why might we not do that? Because there are individuals, organizations that individuals that don't do a very good job of setting expectations. Yeah, please either put your question in the chat um, where I can see it. Um, love to answer any questions that you have as we're going along. But why don't we set expectations and let people know how they're doing? Yeah, fear of conflict. Yes. And again, if you think back to, thank you, Brendan, for putting that up there. Um, think back to Lencioni and the five dysfunctions of a team. That foundation is trust. If we don't have trust, we don't have good conflict. We don't have the necessary conflict. I can't. I don't have trust with you, Brendan, and so I'm a little apprehensive of um, having any type of conflict. And we have to realize that there's an appropriate amount of conflict. Conflict just simply means, that there's some tension. It doesn't mean that it has to be bad. Um, conflict. Uh, conflict, right? Just use the example of a rubber band. If we don't have the right amount of tension on a rubber band, it doesn't work. It doesn't provide the service that it needs to. And I think you're absolutely right. Getting caught up in other tasks. Um, we've got poor culture. There's not trust within the organization, so we don't have that good conflict. Yeah, doubting yourself and your ability to lead. And so doing these things on a simple base, on a consistent basis, and even in a good way, letting people, hey, here's the expectation. This is how you're doing. Here's the expectation. This is how you're doing. Here's the expectation. This is how you're doing. Even those things in a positive way. I'd get started with that if you're not accustomed to giving those types of things, giving that particular type of feedback. Can I ask anonymously? I don't know. There is one there for hosts and panelists. That would just go to me, whoever is asking that. Um, yeah, yeah, not making it a priority or saying people know what is expected of them. That's a big one. Making the assumption that people know what's expected of them. That is a very big one. Yeah. So the individual, yeah, if you want to ask anonymously, feel free to do that. That's just going to come through on the hosts and panelists. I'm the only one um, that will see that. But yeah, those are great examples of why we maybe not we don't do those things. So bringing it together, and as I mentioned, this is um, like we've got coming up on Tuesday, it's a 6-hour workshop on on job relations. Because what we do is we go through these foundations, but then we also work on and introduce you to the process of, okay, everything works out well. We're still going to have people problems from time to time. So how do I resolve those? And we have a process. We introduce you to a process how to resolve those people problems in a consistent way that resolves those. And so that's the backside, if you will, of job relations. Small actions, big impact. I encourage you again to do these on a regular basis. Just select, hey, one week. This week, I'm going to make sure that I've communicated expectations to everyone and let them know how they're doing. I'm going to give credit. I'm going to look for things that are over and above and give credit. I'm going to identify and look and see, is there anything coming up that I have not communicated, a change that's going to impact somebody? And then I'm going to intentionally have a conversation with someone strictly for the purpose of learning a little bit more about them, what they enjoy doing, and maybe I can uncover with them some additional abilities that they have. But I encourage you, pick one foundation, practice it as it says deliberately every day for 1 week, and see what shifts. Well, generally, great question. Are there signals that would tell you you have people problems? Maybe you don't know you have people problems. I would say if you don't know you have people problems, and this is an overgeneralization, but if you don't know that you have people problems, I would encourage you to try to get to know your people better. Because you'll see it in behaviors. You'll see if, again, people problems could be as simple as someone is consistently coming in late. That would be categorized as a people problem. Not just showing up late one time, but consistent. You see them stirring up strife wherever they go. You Other people issues, consistently calling in late. And some of the indicators are all of a sudden you see maybe they have some deeper things going on and you see their behavior change. Geez, Nicole was pretty mild mannered, but it seems like over the last couple of weeks, a little bit more, I don't know, aggressive or aggravating. But that's generally signals that you would tell you have people problems. And if we want, I can send out an example sheet as well of people problems. But generally, they're things like, again, people coming in late consistently, people calling in sick consistently, people not getting work done on a consistent basis, right? So we go through a process of identifying what's really the contributor to this and how can we help them resolve it. How do you continue to encourage growth in employees' roles when they have reached the top of their roles? They've reached the top of their roles. Now, if they want to continue to work at that in that position or at that organization, they can continue to further develop there, I guess. I mean, if they're content there, right? I would assume, though, I would find it very hard to remain at an organization where I have maxed out. And but if that individual wants to stay there within there, we look at 5 things for, again, what every supervisor needs, and thereby every employee. They need knowledge of their job, knowledge of their responsibilities, and they're different. They need to know how, particularly leaders, supervisors, need to know how to lead. They need to know how to instruct others, and they need to know how to improve processes. So you can encourage those individuals there, if they're at the top of their role. Are there some additional things that they can learn about their job or their responsibilities? Are there some things that they can do in the realm of continuous improvement? Can they do some things that maybe are outside their traditional roles, but that continue to add value to the organization? And again, it might spark something in them as well about maybe a new potential, a new role. Okay. Well, if there are no more questions, again, very, very high level overview. One of the things that we do, so for instance, in Tuesday's workshop, you'll bring in people issues and then we'll work together in resolving them and we'll teach how to resolve them on a consistent basis. And I would encourage you strongly, if you have individuals that report to you or you direct the work of others, I strongly encourage you to uh, register for that 6 hour workshop. It's a great introduction to TWI and job relations. Okay. All right. Well, at this point, uh, Debbie, if you want to rejoin.
Steve, thank you so much. Thank you all for your engagement and your questions. I'm going to launch a poll that just 4 questions, super easy. You can multitask and listen to me as you do the poll as well. Give me a thumbs up if you saw it. Did it go? I am filling in for Megan, and so I appreciate all of your patience in helping me get the chat going and the interaction. So thank you for that. If you have any questions for Steve, go ahead and put them in the chat as well. I have put a link in to the series that Steve was talking about. So this webinar is a series of free sessions that is hosted by Kirkwood's Continuing Education Division, and it's really designed to connect the community to area experts, our trainers that come in and help us and share on a variety of topics throughout the year. Our next webinar that we have coming up next month is with a gentleman by the name of Bill Schmarzo, and he is, I believe it's next month, he is doing it's on September 9th. Yes, he is doing Yoda, and he is an AI expert. He is he is very engaging, and you will absolutely love it. We have a lot of classes through professional development, technology, life and leisure, and customized training that supports area employers. So please visit the Kirkwood Continuing Education for our full menu. So I want to talk about a couple of things while you're putting those messages in there as well. We have 2 series that are new and we're really excited about them. One is our AI series. And I'll put that link in there as well. So the AI series is not just how do I redesign my living room, which I actually use a lot. It's not all about that. It is how are people using it in business and helping them be more productive. So there are all kinds of different AI series. There's from beginners, if you're like, I have no idea, I've heard of it, but I'm not quite sure, to an intermediate level. And then we do have Bill Schmarzo, who's coming up in October on the 13th. And his session is called Yoda. It's your online data assistant. And you will build your own data assistant. You bring your laptop in, you do it on your work laptop, and you are working with him, and he works one-on-one with you as well. The Lean series I'm really excited about, and the Lean series, there's some basic ones that are out there. Just how do I understand it? What does Lean mean? There's one in there from Robert Ratchey, is how do I lead people through a change? So it's kind of, you're doing a Lean event, but you want to lead them through with the change. Steve is doing TWI, and I will put that link in here as well. And there are a couple of landing pages out there for us. He's got TWI, which actually does start next Tuesday. So if you want to be a part of it, go in and get registered. And he also has a green belt certification that is coming up. So lots of really good things that we have offered for our fall semester. So with that, I will put the other one in here for our AI as well, but please put any last minute questions you have for Steve. And we want to thank you all for joining us. Let me get this in here really quick.
Yeah, and I can't. I encourage you enough, Bill Schmarzo. I know Bill in a couple of ways. One, he's with Iowa State as well, but he was on a. I do a podcast for Iowa State called Industry Iowa, and he was a guest on there, and he's just a fantastic, again, way of communicating and making AI usable. Yeah, the Yoda, big data. I think the data.
He is the
Trying to
dean of
remember,
big data.
Dean
Yes,
of Big Data. There we
the
go.
dean
Yeah,
of big data. Yeah.
but just
AI
yeah,
is
I
is
encourage you
here.
to make yourself available for that.
Yeah, I will say AI is here, and people are using it, and it is absolutely it saves so much time and how to use it and how to get in there, and so there are a lot of classes out there. And Patty, I see that you have your hand. I don't know if it's been raised for a little bit or if you got your question answered. Um, and I don't see that you're on anymore, maybe. So. But if you do have any other questions, go ahead. Oh, Patty, I'm going to see if I can have you talk. So if you want to ask a question. Other than that, I think we are good. Steve, thank you so much for
Okay. Yes.
hosting the webinar and sharing all of that information. We look forward to seeing you in the next webinar. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.